continuation on components of lawful in natural law, ideally, please request from self and the other that which I am describing as minimum, and confess it to one another to know for sure that it is person to person shared and rejoiced before pursuit of any wedding licenses. And in courts, do not issue licenses to then workers who have some sort of impression that I or such, if I ever got again married or get, and I just don't like past, that makes no sense anymore, but I'm sorry, that is how language is constructed. If that was, it just sounds pessimistic, right? Speaking towards past, it's no, I don't understand. That's a digression, I apologize. Expect that, because if not, there are issues of persons who try to have three separated into three categories persons who want to have children from sperm bank to surrogate mother instead of having sex with own spouse, and choosing that spouse that is preferred to have sex over all other activities in person, not avoided in person and dreamt about half asleep lying to that person when one is drunk because one is ridiculous or sick. So that same person has to be source of desire in physical form in person, and sheer enthusiasm, love, because of being so desired and is desiring back, feeling the same way in person, okay? To have second one, that brings then the wanting of that person to carry on children or to fertilize without passing that semen from a bank from some other person, okay? Or having that beloved person who does not want to be abandoned have given that semen or have sex with some other woman, that it is because of a synchronous sexual act that lacks also in emotional components, okay? And the third component, so pregnancy with the same person is wanted, the same sex with the same person is wanted, and love, being in love with the same person is wanted, and also all of love for mom, God, Jesus, Buddha, golden fish, all of the cutest children, animals, sick persons, and lepers, hurt roaches and prostitutes, also some sort of somewhere, molested even hyena. All of these are less loved than that person, and that person rejoices in that possessive love, feeling the exact same way, which causes sexual drive. So again, one to one, both need to be able to say the same, not having doubt in enthusiasm at all times, carry it to sexual act, and have sex when that person, one and the other, have those sex, have an orgasm, have then what's called sexual surrender. Sexual surrender is being conquested and is from one person, let's say this is a male, this is a female, to the other person, source of sexual arousal that causes a state similar to vasovagal syncope, or similar also to flaccid paralysis, I would say. That's how it looks like. Those are the difference between those conditions is this: there is beloved person that causes that kind of sexual surrender. that other person is unlearned, unable to recognize that this is because of, if a female, of masculinity of that person, and says, I have to work, I don't feel all that well, and that is not good, that person doesn't love me, and then goes away and in front of other persons that look similar feels no longer love nor sexual arousal, and bodily impressions become from that source of that manhood of that person that was so good, that made that state of called sexual surrender, that again is not then yet if that person is the source vasovagal syncope or sickness. Okay, the source dissociated in front, others. Oh, I don't feel that well, I have to work, I have to do this, I have to that, and the other person is a fool who thinks and believes without that second hexa component that in selfish way he has no chance or no effect, he just looks groovy, and now he's gonna go and conquest other females, which then is cause of being called perpetrator. Why? Because that person pursued in love, after all, being impressive, if that person is in honest, and goes to seduce other females, all made up for another woman, and goes around saying that it is how he is attractive, sings a song without in an anonymous way, and then is called that's called sexual harassment, because that person does not want to have sex, nor do the others want to be second best. That's how it works. That can change if that person who was fainting and entered from that display of masculinity, goodness, life saving of that person proves that that person is the most amazing in the world, and the other one that it is a true hero. That person fainting or being ready, that's a preparation to have sex. Why? Because there is sexual arousal in females in response. There is no other. Just remember that also in medical field and on police. There's no other. Person needs to feel pleasure. Pleasure and source is one man for a woman, and that pleasure causes physiologic changes such as relaxation of all muscles in the body, speechlessness or inability to speak, also relaxation of genitals to be unable to push away that man or fight, because there is trust that that man is incapable in fact of harm, because of being loved, so his sexual arousal causes sexual arousal in a female, there is no other. And now change a person looking to identical twin even, and that from sexual surrender becomes flaccid paralysis, to pretend the preferably death, to not to be touched by anybody else, or it becomes sudden, for instance, surge of energy to fight, because somebody else reads that as sexual surrender and offers so-called second best or less settlement relationship to fornicate out pleasure, and if organs hope for attachment, that is as long as that other person who is source of that arousal, in absence of all the others knowing that person is cause of those diseases, because those two do not associate as cause and effect, male and female. In biology, in other words, is that if I have coffee, my mouth opens because I want it. How do I feel? I feel like that I can coordinate movements, open mouth and drink it because I want coffee. Well, the same is with sex. Now, if I do not want it, then I'm gonna start to make faces and grimace and not want to drink it. The same is with sex, because source of that is the other person, and we dissociated or became unaware of that, describing in medical terms and literature, perpetuating non-stop one, for instance, look, that look, the source was one person for all, and we think, I love you, I love you. That feeling that somebody cares about is because somebody does, one person, and that person is being left and has the other one pimped out singing to all of the others. And that lacks what? In sex possessive love. From mind to body. So in medicine, again, what is the difference between vasovagal syncope that is not on purpose, that is, if when it is on purpose, the person that caused it left, and that person does not want to have sex, prefers to pretend to be dead or playing possum. That is also happening. If that is also a true vasovagal syncope, is that because that person does not want to have sex? And why? How do we know that? Because the person will tell you on scale of pleasure from -5 to 5, if persons in front of you touched you in sexual way or insinuated it, how much distress would you experience, or how much pleasure would you experience? And the person will respond, because the source of the person is identified as such in physical body person, I would experience distress in degree of similarity to that person and volition of that person that caused it to pursue sexual activity and long-term relationship. That is that combination. And so if not, that person is not to be said, don't pursue because the other one does not want to. We cannot know that. In 2 seconds, a person named Bozo from some high school, who arrived in this time in some big car, pimped out to become, right for a disco. This time, that person may actually be able to utter in own words, in coherent way, what it is and who it is that he is actually dressed up like that for. And that is called love declaration. Love declaration has to have certain components. If that person does enter each time in the stupor, meaning a person freezes, I am typing and freezes, to a degree the other one is aroused or in love with that person, then that is impeding work. Is that sick? No. If we now want to convince those persons that there is no cause, effect, or source, we will give or say to that person, you are sick, which is illegal to do so. When that person feels pleasure, joy, and is in love, and therefore the other one presented with such feels pleasure, joy, and love. If not, then these two will fight if pushed on one another. And source, there's always a source. It's never like in vacuum. That is why, for example, masturbation is release of sexual tension that is much worse to sex with person who is loving, because the other one is in sexual arousal and in love and cannot make it home or wherever that other person is. So it creates an urge and stimulation, and even though a person may present with signs and symptoms consistent with sexual arousal, which is blushing and erection, and also in male readiness for action or sexual drive, that person source is one, and it is arrogant in admissions to call it sick, to protect self, because that person is in love with someone else. There is a woman who is in the exact same state, and if one looks at oneself and is not this, well, that is not self, for sure. That's it.